We have the first scene animated now. And there are two more things we need to do to make it complete. So first thing we need to do is we need to add some kind of wiggle to all the layers in my first scene. So if I go to the effects and presets panel here on the right hand side, you can go to Window, Effects and Presets here. And then let's choose Wiggle Position. Let's choose this wiggle position. Right now I have luggage layer selected. Let's double click on this wiggle position. We can add a wiggle effect onto this layer here. And what we need to do is we can change the wiggle speed to 3 wiggles per second, and then we can change the amount to maybe 10 pixels. So what it does is it's actually adding more movement, more random movement to all the elements we have. And if I solo this luggage layer, and then let me solo this background. And let's preview over here. I hit on B on the keyboard, so the preview range is cut from 2 seconds to around 4 seconds. Let's preview this part here. And you can see my luggage is kind of moving on its own by itself randomly in the air. So that's the wiggle effect we want to put on all the elements within the first scene and all the other scenes as well to make it more of a randomly stop motion type of look. That's looking pretty good. So all I need to do now is I just need to copy these two effects, Command C, and then select all the other layers except for the background and the texture. Select all the layers and then go to Effects Control Panel, which should be already there. Command V. Now what I did is I added this wiggle effects on all the layers except for the background and the texture. So let's see what we have now. It just added a very subtle movement to all the elements within the scene and bring them more to life. You see that? Alright, that's looking pretty good to me. And the last thing I want to do is right now you can see the animation is too smooth. After we added the wiggle effect, the whole thing is just kind of too smooth. And what I need to do now is I need to go to Effects and Preset panel. And I need to search for posterized time over here. Under time, there's posterized time. Let's go to luggage layer. And then let's add a posterized time on top of the luggage layer. Remember, our frame rate is 25 frames per second. If I add a posterized time, I can change the frame rate of that layer and say right now, all the layers within my composition should be 25 frames per second. However, if it's stop motion, normally you probably would be able to see around 5 to 10 frames per second. Let's try to set it to 5 frames per second. And then what I need to do is I want to copy this posterized time onto all the other layers except for the texture, and then Command V. So now all the layers within my composition are changed to 5 frames per second. It just make the whole animation more of a stop motion look. Let's try to preview and see what it looks like. You see that? It just make everything more stop motion like. Instead of before we don't have posterized time, it just everything's smooth and the wiggle is pretty smooth, and now you can see a stop motion like wiggle. That's what we need. Let's stop over here and then we can go back to the main composition. Now we have a first frame animated. It's probably around 5 seconds. Let's hit N over here at 5 seconds and we can preview the first 5 seconds. This is what our first scene looks like. Let's move on to the next video.